Thank you for joining Wars of the Rosies, and this is Everyday Laws by Cecil A. Poole, Supreme Secretary. An article from Rosicrucian Digest, Volume 20, Number 12, January 1943. Everyday Laws by Cecil A. Poole, Supreme Secretary. It is natural for us to think in terms of universals rather than particulars, especially is this true in regard to cosmic law. When considering cosmic law in its greatest extent and scope, we visualize and acknowledge the existence of law and order in the universe, and then fail to help maintain the law and order in our own lives. It is simple for man to conceive of the universal law of goodness and evolution toward a higher state of development. But again, in the case of an individual, we isolate ourselves from the use of this law, frequently reducing it to a mere repetition, platitudes or affirmations. The law of compensation is one universal law, the extent of which is acknowledged by all thinking men and women. It is the law which has had its literary expression in the writings of Emerson, and which has created actual life experiences in everyone. While we acknowledge the universal fact that what we reap depends upon what is sowed, we still are more or less in the position of blaming our difficulties and problems upon some factor beyond our control or outside ourselves, rather than acknowledging the law of compensation or karma operates just as exactly within our own being as it does throughout the whole of the cosmic scheme. True it is that man should examine the why and wherefore of all conditions that affect his being, but even more wise is the man who will honestly analyze his position in relation to all universal laws and be willing to work from that point rather than to be critical of the source and purposes of the laws that have brought him to the very present moment. Almost every individual at one time or another wished for the opportunity to relive his life or a certain phase of life. We look back and we see the errors which caused us pain or embarrassment, or which brought problems and hardships to someone else, and we even look back upon opportunities that we now see existed and were so evident at a point in the past, and we wish we could step back and avail ourselves of these opportunities, using them as a means of better fitting ourselves to our environment and progressing better in our lives, ambitions, and activities. Such reasoning is a worthless waste of time, and furthermore, it is faulty. The reason we could not avail ourselves of the opportunity which we at the present moment now see existed at a certain past moment is because in reality that opportunity did not exist until the present time. This may be a little difficult to comprehend upon first statement of the fact. It must be realized through analyzing a few steps that we have taken in our past lives. Let us use a hypothetical case as an illustration. During the Depression years, about 10 years ago, a young man out of work and desperate for work considered joining a branch of the military service, a branch which trains its leaders and officers from the ranks. After some hesitation, he decided against it and later received a routine clerical position, which he still holds, and which he is not too happy. Now a great deal of time is spent in regret of the apparent error of his decision, as he sees it now. He daydreams of what might have been. He thinks of the 10 years service in that branch of military activities of our country and the demands now for trained men which would probably have permitted him to advance to the rank of a commissioned officer, where he would be rendered a vital service to his country and his fellow men, and where he could be a leader of men instead of a follower of routine. All this does seems to hold weight in fancy, or a daydream, and this young man constantly turns that daydream into a lost opportunity. But the fact is, to repeat the statement prior to this illustration, that there is no lost opportunity. The opportunity did not exist at the moment of choice. The opportunity exists now in the light of present demands and present dissatisfaction with the individual's particular position. Realizing an opportunity is possible only by being able to avail ourselves of it. Many things exist in the universe as actualities, This is a fundamental principle of Rosicrucian teachings, but realities exist in our experience, and that which is not realized is not made an intimate part of our consciousness. Therefore, the opportunity that we think we missed is a realization of the moment, which takes place either due to refusal or inability of meeting the problem of the present. No man can step into the past because the past is not, but every man can analyze the workings of the laws and principles which caused him to be now what he is. Whether one is satisfied or dissatisfied with his present lot in life is not a condition that can be rectified by reliving that life, but only by acknowledging the benefits that have brought us to where we are and the difficulties which we face due to our mistakes in the past. The law of compensation is then an intimate law and not a creed, doctrine, or man-made principle existing somewhere out in space. It is the very essence of progress, individual and collective. It operates for us daily. Our lives and contacts, if they are faced in a friendly and cheerful manner, will compensate to us by contributing to agreeable surroundings. The principles upon which we direct our lives, if they be honest and upright, will contribute to the mastery of our environment, which will, in time, give us the opportunity to express these ideals. On the other hand, just as surely as these facts are true, so will our mistakes or intolerance, or snap judgments that have hurt others contribute to unrest and misadjustment. But altogether, the constructive and destructive forces of our nature have brought our lives to their present moments. Are we failures or are we successes? We probably do not know, as these terms are only relative. The better measurement would be, are we attaining happiness? Because contentment is the goal of most human beings. Contentment is the satisfaction that we are doing something worthwhile. And should the answers to our self-inquiry be in the negative, we can take new hope in the assurance that since the laws that brought us to where we are still operating equally within us as well as without, we can acknowledge the reality of the inventory which we carry and, sorting it over, pick those parts that will best contribute to bringing us onto the road towards a useful and happy life. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to share, like, subscribe, and comment. And if you can, please consider donating to Wars of the Rosies. Links to PayPal and Patreon are in the description. Thank you so very much.